when you pay Stephen A. Smith $20 million, that mean okay, well, whoever his co-host is, they're going to want an exorbitant amount of money, and so she may have been making two and a half, $3 million as the host. Well, when Stephen A. is sitting there making 20, well, maybe now she wants to make 10. And when I look at the abrupt, like, nah, I'm not coming into work tomorrow,
Yeah.
that also is like maybe there's pointing the finger at Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play it out to the end of the year and move on to your next deal, but when you don't come in, it makes me think maybe Stephen A. is a part of her frustration.
Jason Whitlock reacts to Molly Qerim leaving ESPN First Take. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my
I
comments.
think we'll start with Molly Karam.
Oh, she's out of there.
She, yesterday when we talked, we knew that she was leaving, but we didn't know she was leaving like immediately.
Out
Yeah,
of there,
which is
man.
an indication that, man, this thing's a bit more complicated than just they couldn't settle on the money. It just seems more seriously. She's off the show now. ESPN put out a statement. Stephen A. Smith had something to say. Let's play Stephen A. Smith, and then we'll react.
Last night, she abruptly resigned as the host of the show. And to say that I'm quite sad about it is an understatement. Molly is a friend. Molly is a coworker. Molly is somebody that I have leaned on many occasions in the past, as she has done when it comes to me. We've been partners on the show for the last 10 years.
Very good
And
friends.
a
Yeah.
lot of times, some of these things happen, and it's just uncomfortable to see. The details, quite frankly, are none of y'all business. But it's not as if I know all the details. It was a contract negotiation that was going on. ESPN certainly did not want to lose her. But in the event, but in the end, rather, she made a decision to walk away from the show effective immediately. As you see from her Instagram post, that story is for her to tell. Do I have an idea? Of course I do. Am I going to share it with you? No, because again, that's her story to tell.
It's her story to tell, but you pretty much went in detail. It was something about her contract. You don't know everything, but at the end of the day, you know enough to at least report on it this way. And again, if it's her story to tell, why not let her tell that story? You can easily invite Molly on the platform and let her go in detail. She already put out a statement, that's one thing, but Stephen A. Smith wanted the content, and I get it. I would have done the same thing, but don't try to be like, that's my friend, the family knows her, and everybody has a great network, but then you want to go in detail about her contract situation, or at least put it out there. So Stephen A. Smith, man, you got to keep it real. He kind of violated Molly when it came to telling that information as far as her contract. That should have came from her, but at the end of the day, man, y'all could be cool one moment, but once y'all have ESPN and Disney, Stephen A. Smith is just going to look at you like, okay, you're cool, but we not friends like that. If you're not on my platform, if you're not on ESPN and Disney, I have no allegiance to you. You see with him and Shannon Sharpe, yeah, like Shannon Sharpe never existed until they seen each other at the Crawford and Canelo fight. So we know how Stephen A. Smith do when you're no longer a part of ESPN.
So let me start the speculation. When I heard that it was immediate, I was like, oh, she must already have a job lined up.
Mhm.
And the job that she has lined up must be some sort of competitor to ESPN.
Mhm.
And so that made me, is she going to Fox Sports? Is Amazon Prime going to put together Molly Karam and Max Kellerman and someone else and do their version of First Take? Is she going to host one of these league shows on one of these Amazon or Netflix or whatever? And ESPN, all right, so you're going to do that. We're going to let you go immediately. The other thing I thought, Steve, was when you pay Stephen A. Smith $20 million, that mean okay, well, whoever his co-host is, they're going to want an exorbitant amount of money, and so she may have been making two and a half, $3 million as the host. Well, when Stephen A. is sitting there making 20, well, maybe now she wants to make 10.
Yeah, again, she feels as though her value is attached to Stephen A. Smith. That could be something too. Stephen A. Smith could be making $100 million per year. Molly, all you do is interrupt people. You push the feminist movement. You did great Disney soldier, but they can only pay you so much just to look like an Instagram model and read a teleprompter. Again, she did it at a good level, but you can easily find someone like a Molly Qerim that knows how to read live and that looks good. So she doesn't really have true value out there.
And maybe ESPN will, we'll pay you $5, Molly. And then on the same day, Malika Andrews gets a new contract, or it gets announced, and I'm sure Molly said, well, they paid Malika this. Mina Kimes is making nearly $2 million for cluttering up a football show. I
Throwing
just
shots.
when Stephen A sits atop and you're paying him $20 million,
Yeah.
it just raises everyone else's expectations and frustrations. So those are my two initial thoughts on why it's over so abruptly and so quickly for Molly Qerim.
Yeah, again, if you're gonna pay Stephen A. Smith $20+ million, there's only so much that's gonna go around within the pot. So at the end of the day, again, Molly, she did her job. She did what she had to do. I'm sure she read the script perfectly, but when it comes time to paying you those big bucks, it just ain't gonna happen. ESPN ain't gonna pay Molly $5, $10, $15 million per year just to read a teleprompter. It's not gonna happen. So again, shout out to Stephen A. Smith. He getting a lot of money, but the people around Stephen A. Smith, the contributors, people a part of ESPN, it's only so much that they can give out. They got to worry about their primetime talent. Stephen A. Smith, the guys on Monday Night Football, Pat McAfee, people at that level, they're going to get paid the big bucks. People like Molly, be happy that you can make $500,000, $1 million per year. That's good money for the type of stuff that she does.
Jason, I actually watched that whole video clip of Stephen A. Smith. I just thought it was funny. It ain't none of y'all business. It was a contract negotiation. Well, so it wasn't about the money.
Steven.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for cluing it. It's always about the money, though. It's like in boxing. Why didn't this fight happen? Easy. There wasn't enough money. Seriously. Like, even if you think you can't win that fight, you pay a guy enough money, they're going to try their best, but they want that money. So it's obviously the money matters. And I do think you make a good point. Most people have a rational thought process. Okay, if he's the alpha, everyone else has a place. But there is a belief that, hey, if you elevate your pay scale, and I'm only going to get 30% of what you're getting as the star, guess what? My 30% has to elevate with whatever you're getting. I kind of do.
And again, that's her thought process. Well, at least that's what I think it is. And a lot of people that are covering this, like, all right, if you go up by 40, 50%, that means I got to go up by 50% as well. But Molly doesn't understand that she wasn't a key player on the show. Again, she did her thing. She read the script. She did what she had to do. But to think that you can make as much money as Stephen A. Smith, man, I don't know who's consulting with her. Maybe her management or team is saying that she's worth a certain amount. ESPN, they're not going to budge. So that's probably the best thing they did over the last 10, 15 years. Go ahead and let Molly walk out the door and don't try to break the bank when it comes to her. She doesn't deserve to make top dollar at ESPN.
You understand that. And Jason, I was a little bit stunned because we talked about the whole Molly Qerim situation in the morning. We're thinking, okay, it's going to play out and there's going to be a grand farewell, celebration show, goodbye. And she just Dear John'd him. She said, out. I was like, wow. So obviously this is pretty obvious. At least from Molly's point of view, I don't think it was the most amicable split.
Well, let's remember, wasn't it just last week Stephen A. was on air bragging about the people he stood up for to get paid and how many, Cam, I did for Shannon Sharpe and I did it for this person and that person. And when I look at the abrupt, like, I'm not coming into work tomorrow.
Yeah.
That also is like, maybe there's pointing a finger at Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play it out to the end of the year and move on to your next deal. But when you don't come in, it makes me think maybe Stephen A. is a part of her frustration.
I don't know if she's frustrated with Stephen A. At the end of the day. Without Stephen A. Smith, you have no Molly Qerim. Think about all the changes at ESPN when they had the cuts and a lot of people had to go. you notice she stayed around and she had the least talent out of everybody that got fired. So again, she should be thankful for Stephen A. Smith. I know Stephen A., he can be loud at times, the ego and whatever the case may be. But if that was it, she should be thankful Stephen A. Smith existed. That's the only reason why she stayed at ESPN for many of those years when they were making cuts.
Well, part of that clip of Stephen A. Smith yesterday that dealt with this subject, he went on this diatribe about how everyone has a boss, that everyone has someone that they have to be accountable for, and no one's ever completely free. I thought that was a kind of an interesting segue that he had in terms of the Molly Qerim situation. And now that you say it, I'm thinking, are those two things connected? That maybe Stephen A. says, hey, I have great value. She's our point guard. I'm comfortable with her. Maybe the higher up said, hey, look, Stephen A., you got the money. The budget is the budget. And maybe, this is just a theory, just my opinion, maybe he wanted Molly Qerim to get extra money. But again, it's not his money. It's not his budget.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Stephen A. Smith, I know he tries to portray this boss type thing, and maybe that's his own production, his own platform. But when he's on ESPN, he's just another small fry. Yeah, he's a noticeable small fry, but in the grand scheme of things, that $100 million ain't really hurting Disney. They got a lot more money where that came from, so he can be that boss. He can have the ego on his own platform, but coming to ESPN, you got to fall in line. So he listed his bosses. He pretty much let Molly know this is what it is, even though he said it wasn't about her. But he pretty much told her, you don't have value and your time ran its course at Disney. There's nothing I can do.